I think kegs they're making a comeback.
Kegs are cool with a K.
Kegs are cool with a K. I like
Man, you
that.
should be their marketing person. That's pretty good.
How much does it pay? Am I getting paid in kegs? Do I have to maintain the keg float?
I'm a
Right.
big fan. I'm a big fan of people promoting beer because we're all beer supporters on this joint. So,
Well,
hello, Justin.
hi, how you doing?
How are you? I'm Harry. I don't know that if we've met, but I don't know all about you, but I know about you. And
I all good things that you've heard. We've met
oh yes.
here and there. We've run into. I've spent the last 4 or 5 years abroad, so it's been a while.
Okay. Well, of course, you're with the Global Beer Alliance. Am I saying that right?
The Worldwide Brewing Alliance.
So I did not say it right at all. It's the Worldwide Brewing
You had
Alliance.
the right idea.
Okay. Well, welcome to BeerNet Radio. This is the podcast, Justin, where all of your dreams come true. We aim to please. So Justin is part of the Worldwide Beer Alliance, and I would characterize that as kind of the Beer Institute, but for the world. Really out on the forefront, bringing all the global brewers together, 80% by volume of the entire world's production, and promoting beer as just a healthy, sustainable, responsible beverage. So, Justin, thank you for being on. We've got Jennifer Litz-Kirk and Jordan Driggers on the line as well. And how did you get into this gig?
Well, I've been doing it for about a year and a half. The Worldwide Brewing Alliance has been around for a long time as sort of an informal organization. It was a place where leaders of brewing associations like the Beer Institute or the Brewers Association came together and would trade best practices, network with other leaders, and just get experience and exposure to the issues that we deal with all around the world. A few years ago, we sort of took the step to formalize the organization because we started to see more and more attention being paid to beverage alcohol generally and our industry by different, global institutions. Think like the UN or the WHO or the IMF or the World Bank. And, we really didn't have a voice that could step in and represent the category with those groups. And they're not really interested in what any particular business is doing or what any particular country is doing. They're trying to understand industries, how they interact, and the benefits and burdens they present to society. And what the WBA has done is really step into that niche without losing that essence of connectivity between the leaders in our industry and being able to support them and help them represent this great category in markets all around the world. So it's been quite an adventure getting it organized and set up. We've got a great group of members that span the world. I mean, the Beer Institute and the Brewers Association in the United States. We've got Beer Canada, Brewers of Mexico, Brazil, Brewers of Europe, and on the other side of the world, countries like Australia, New Zealand, Korea, Japan. So we really have a membership that spans the globe and can talk about beer from a variety of different cultural perspectives. It's a lot of fun.
All right. And, you mentioned the World Health Organization. They haven't always been, a fan, let's say, of the alcohol industry in general. But you recently had something going on with them that was kind of at least it wasn't a loss. Is that right?
Yeah. The WHO for the last, couple of years was working on a document that has a very long name. We'll call it the Global Alcohol Action Plan for short. And really what it is work that they've done with a group of stakeholders, including member states and industry and civil society, to look at the strategies that they recommend for countries to take to reduce the harmful use of alcohol. And a couple of interesting things that came up in that process are, first, it really wrote in producers and other people who are involved in the industry as part of, how we're going to tackle these issues that they've put on the table, and wrote in, they call us economic operators as people with an opportunity to contribute to solving these issues. And two things that came from that document, I think, were encouraging for brewers. The first is an ask of the industry to really lean into the low and no alcohol beverage space. and really an implicit acknowledgement that these products can be part of reducing the harmful use of alcohol. And we've seen that, already in some locations where the evidence has started coming out that, the introduction of these products can change the way people drink, with knock-on effects to how much they drink and the outcomes at a population level for people who choose to drink and when these products are part of the mix. And secondly, they called for partner organizations in the international community to do research on alcohol policies that are differentiated based on strength. And that's a really a new thing that they're looking at and an important part of where we think the world needs to go in terms of incentivizing and adopting policies that move consumers and incentivize consumers to choose lower alcohol concentration beverages like beer.
I want to step in there because it's interesting that you said that, Justin, because I've been doing a lot of reading from all the articles that have come out about how harmful alcohol is in general, right? And if I'm hearing you right, I mean, part of the immediacy of this group is to seize upon the opportunity to present beer, not just low and no, but beer in general, right, as a more moderate beverage. Because in the articles I'm reading right now, it's very clear that they say it doesn't matter what kind of alcohol, that you consume, that there's all sorts of health risks that, different organizations like the WHO and that sort of, ilk are promoting right now. So what's the opportunity for you guys to change the discourse?
It's a good question. I think really it's, we have a great opportunity to differentiate beer. The way our product is made, the way that it's consumed, the occasions that it's a part of are unique. And we have a unique story that we can tell. The opportunity to differentiate beer is certainly applicable here because we can shape the consumption occasion in a new way. And I'm not a scientist, so whatever it is that the science says about alcohol, wherever we are with that, what you see in the brewing sector, and this goes to, from the really big businesses to increasingly the really small local craft brewer, is a growth in products that are at a lower ABV or that are a very low ABV or even non-alcoholic at all. And that growth is one of the bright spots in our category, right? It's a product that consumers are demanding. It's functional for people. It has benefits not just to the consumer, but also to the outlets who can extend occasions and improve occasions for people. We have a really big opportunity to transform the business and the beer drinking occasion in ways that are much more aligned with the tension points that we see from certain elements of public health and the pressure that we've been getting from the temperance movement for as long as beer has been made. And that's a lot of what we're doing is we're trying to focus attention on the things that brewers are already doing. We're leading the way on some of these complicated issues and showing other businesses and other segments ways that you can transform these occasions in beneficial ways to the entirety of the community of people who choose to drink.
Right. Follow up on the temperance movement there. Personally, as both somebody who covers the sector and as a consumer, when I read all of these new articles coming out that basically put alcohol akin to tobacco, right, I do have to wonder, how much of this is science and how much of this is the temperance movement lobbying the scientists, right? Can you give me your behind the scenes take on that?
Yeah. So it's tough for me to give an opinion on the science. I'm not a scientist.
Sure.
But any discussion around evidence and science and emerging knowledge of things, right, is something that takes a long time. And a lot of it is how you interpret what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a certain segment of people that have taken a very narrow interpretation of risk and a very narrow interpretation of the reason that people choose to drink when they choose to drink. So we need to balance that debate and remind people that, beer is part of society. It's been around for a really long time. We're a low alcohol beverage. We're associated with a certain type of social occasion and rituals and, moments that are important to just people being humans together. And so making sure that doesn't get lost in the scientific discussion is certainly important. But we also can, bring to bear the things that we're doing and listen to what's being said in the environment and be responsive to that. And I think brewers have done really a fantastic job and the leaders in the brewing sector and the people who are making the products are all leaning into these challenges because consumers are hearing these messages and starting to change their own behaviors. And what they're looking for from us is to enable a moderate occasion and something that is conducive to socialization and togetherness, and all the things that make the category really special among the mix of options for people who choose a beverage alcohol product. And we need to ensure that there's balance there, that we're being open to what we hear from people, and that we continue on this journey of getting better and better at being solutions oriented and making sure that we're meeting our consumers where they are.
And one more from me. How much are you guys against spirits versus just like being beer's global PR team, right? And then it's kind of part and parcel to that. I assume you transcend like, US politics when it comes to like equivalency, fights and that sort of thing. You're really not directed at that fight, right?
So equivalence is sort of an international thing, right? It's part of the way that that spirits companies are trying to shape the regulatory environment and the conversation around their own product. So we certainly interact with that. We're not anti anybody. People enjoy spirits. People enjoy wine. They're good products. They have their own place. We're pro beer, and we think that beer has a unique story that no other beverage alcohol product can match. We think that it's a product that is really fit for this moment in time, and that the places where we're growing are places that are, well aligned to some of the future challenges that people who, companies that make alcoholic products are going to face. And there's no reason to be bashful about that, right? This is an intrinsic part of our product. You can see it in the growth of the businesses and where that's coming from. This isn't secret information that we're springing on the world. Like, this is stuff that's happening, and that our companies are leading the way on. With all that said, like, we have different points of view on different elements of the debate, and I think anytime you're competing with people, that's the case. But spirits is a competitor to beer. If you're drinking hard liquor, then you're not drinking beer. You can only drink one product at a time. So certainly, that's a dynamic that's at play in all of these discussions. But we're not anti anybody. We're fully pro beer and fully about celebrating this great innovative category that we have.
And do the wine and spirits guys, do they have their own global organization similar to this? And sorry if I'm ignorant on this, but I haven't really heard. But do they have their own kind of groups?
Yeah, they have. I mean, they have like any large global industry, right? There's a constellation of groups that represent them. They have a World Spirits Alliance. There's a couple of globally oriented wine groups, FIVs and Comité Vin, I believe it is. Part of the reason that the WBA was organized the way that it was is we were the ones who hadn't been showing up at these forums, and we didn't really have a vector for having these discussions. And so really it's making sure that we're also showing up and able to tell our unique story.
Right. I know the AB and InBev, they put that goal of 20% no and low alc, and they've admitted, they're not going to hit it, but I think COVID kind of disrupted a lot of their plans in that. And when they first announced that, I got to admit, I was like, there's just no way. But, now you tell me that today, I'm like, yeah, it's completely possible. And low and no alc is just, it's become its own category, and it lends itself to health and wellness and checks all the boxes that really consumers are moving to. The wine and spirit, we have Mead. This is a drink that's about 20,000 years old. And, every now and then I feel the need for Mead.
I have a Mead in my fridge right now.
No way.
I do.
I never think about Mead. For those at home that don't know, it's kind of an ancient honey beer that people drank around a big pot. It just sounds disgusting, but that you can clean it up but it's just one of the original fermented beverages. And I'm going to go out and pick up a Mead this afternoon. What's wrong with me having a need for Mead? I just had to say the joke. The whole thing was planned for a joke.
I encourage you to go for it.
Okay. Thank you. So what are the big challenges? I think for big brewers, water usage is always a thing. Sustainability does that come into your purview when talking to these big organizations like the WHO?
Sustainability is an important thing for the industry. And, we certainly support our members on their sustainability stories, but the nature of our business is that it's very local, and the different companies, different countries, they have a very different story about the challenges that they're dealing with in their own particular environment. I think what you see on balance in the brewing sector is very positive, right? Reductions in the amount of water that we're using, improvements in the amount of efficiency coming out of the breweries, improvements in the so-called scope 3, the things that are sort of outside of the immediate operations, and an industry that's really, in addition to transforming our products to meet social challenges, transforming the way that we make those products to meet a different set of social challenges. It's tough to tell a really global story beyond the positive trends and the innovation that you see in the making of beer and the distribution of beer. But it's certainly a core element of what all of our companies and really all of our members are trying to talk to stakeholders about. An important, axis of interaction between us and the communities where we operate.
Right. I imagine taxation is a big issue, and excise taxation. And most countries do have various tax levels based on ABV. Like in our country, it's more based on base. Do you deal with that? In the various countries, give recommendations like this works and this really doesn't?
Yeah, we provide what I would call technical support. So we have a network of experts and industry leaders from around the world, and sort of within our network, there aren't many issues that haven't come up for someone at some point. So a lot of what we do is provide information, we provide case studies, and also we remind people that there's a reason that excise taxes are largely shaped the way that they are, where they seek to nudge consumers towards lower alcohol products, and that's because for a very, very, very long time, it's been well recognized that those sorts of economic incentives have benefits in other parts of the policy space, and so we certainly support our members in telling a story of the benefits that can come from nudging consumers towards lower alcohol concentration products and like beer, and making sure that they have the evidence and the arguments and the expertise to make that argument effectively and to stand up for the category.
Right.
I'm curious, for the BI, it's kind of tough to just keep all the members on the same page. Sometimes there's infighting on the global level. Does it seem like they're on kind of a friendlier level? Or is there you're still dealing with that same kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah. I don't think we have any infighting. My members are competitors, and they compete relentlessly in the markets. I am fortunate that at the global level and the stakeholders that we interact with and the type of work that we do with our national association members, that it's all about the category, and everybody has an incentive to grow the category and to compete for a bigger piece of a bigger pie. And so we've been very fortunate that our members, buy into this, they support it, they're driving it with their businesses, right? And so when we come together, it's to talk about beer. And so there's everyone can see themselves in the things that we're trying to do and can see the success of their own business or their own association of businesses in their country in the things that we're trying to do, or at least that's the intent. I mean, I'm sure, like anything else, we're more or less successful in any discrete moment. We work really hard to keep the focus on the category and ways that we can champion beer as its own entity, rolled up of all of our members who produce a lot of the beer that's consumed in the world on balance.
Yeah. One other thing is the aluminum tariffs here in the U.S. That's a big priority for the BI. How do you lend support in that or do you? Or
If-
I'm sure there's a lot of associations that want you to help out with this particular bottle, or so how do you kind of pick and choose?
It really depends on what they need and how we're, where things are in whatever the process is. So, we're lucky in the United States, we have a really top drawer set of advocates at the Beer Institute and the Brewers Association, and they do an amazing job representing the interests of brewers in the US. Where we come in on an issue like that is if there's a nexus with an international organization. So if they need help understanding how the WTO might work on something, or where, how other countries might be looking at a particular issue. We have advocates who are living and working in those places and actively involved in those same debates on the other side of things, or on the same side, but in a different place. And there's opportunities to learn and grow and to, not make similar mistakes, or to do things that worked well in one place in another place. And that's one of my favorite parts of the work that we do is kind of making those connections happen, and helping the leaders that are leading do it in a collaborative way and get the benefit of one another's experience. You realize pretty quickly, when you're running an organization, like finding moments for professional development, or to get advice, or to just hear the experience of other people who have done it, right, starts to dwindle. There's only so many presidents of the Beer Institute or general counsels of the Beer Institute, but there's presidents of big associations around the world, and that's a store of knowledge that we can reach out to and rely on and get better at what we do.
I have a follow-up to how are you guys funded?
So it's a dues organization. It's not exciting. We have an organization. We set an agenda and the things that we want to accomplish, and then we ask our members to support the agenda that we're pulling together. And it's been very collaborative. We've had a good level of support from them. Everyone is enthusiastic about driving this work, and little by little, we've been building it into something that is increasingly helpful and supportive of our members, I hope.
And it's like probably based on size, or
yeah, we have corporate members, and they provide a certain level of funding, and then our association members also come in with their own pool of funding, and overall we have resources that we're able to put into play to support everyone's agenda.
And like, you probably wouldn't bring other tiers into the WBA, right?
I guess you're ahead of me. We haven't really thought about what the WBA might look like in the future in terms of membership. Different countries have different setups for their sectors, and in the US we have the wholesalers, who are obviously a powerful and relevant part of the beer industry, and important partners for the production tier of the 3-tier system. We're happy to work with them and support them. We're all about team beer. And so we try and put our knowledge and our expertise in play whenever we can support what brewers are advocating for and doing around the world that will improve the category and improve the position of our businesses, and ultimately, grow what we're doing and start to, build a bigger category over time.
Cool.
And you're based where?
I'm based outside of Washington, D.C. So you're in my home office, which is world headquarters.
Awesome.
We're largely, the group that I work with is in a number of countries around the world. So here in New York, in London, in Brussels, in Switzerland. So we're pretty spread out. A lot of what we do has been enabled by the new ways of working in the post-COVID environment. We're able to do a lot virtually. And this way we have people who are really passionate about the category. They have fantastic experience doing what they do in the areas where they bring expertise to our group. And we don't have to pick the best person in this place. We can pick the best person available in the world to support us and to work with us, and also to make sure that we're close to the places where things are happening.
Right. And who are your favorite brewers to work with, and who are difficult?
Who are the stinkers?
So I would say, without a doubt, my 4 favorite brewers to work with are Anheuser-Busch, Heineken and Molson Coors.
Okay.
And
Okay. And I noticed you put them alphabetically. You're even that's
better than that.
Yeah. And it seems like, your user base is it's mostly the developed world, it's Japan, Korea, Australia, and then Western Europe, US. And is that the focus? Because I know the WHO sometimes focuses on developing countries and developing their alcohol policy.
Yeah, we work with quite a few developing countries. We have a group in Africa, which is made up of producers who are active in Africa, and then the beer associations that exist there, where we focus on those sorts of issues and make sure that we're getting their input on what's going on and what types of things that they're dealing with. Similarly, in Latin America, we have members. We have Mexico and Brazil. We work with a lot of the members who produce in those countries on issues that come up there. In the Caribbean is an area where we've had conversations and will support trade associations who are there. So it's really, our formal membership is focused in the developing world. That's where a lot of the associations exist, and we're still building out like an industry in some countries. But we certainly are paying attention to developing markets and trying to bring the expertise that's been, created over hundreds of years of beverage alcohol control in the developed world and, bringing it to other places where those institutions and regulatory structures are still being built.
Right. Right when I said it, I was like, well, they're based in the countries I just mentioned, but a lot of their business, AB InBev is huge in Africa and obviously in South America and Central America. So interesting stuff. I think it's a great idea. I first kind of learned about it when you spoke. I think it was at the MBWA Ledge conference, or was it at the BI?
Maybe it was Ledge conference. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah,
it was Ledge.
It was Ledge conference. Yeah. And I was like, why didn't anybody think of that before? Like, that's a great idea because, it's increasingly obviously a global business. Beer, more so in developed countries, but beer has suffered at the expense of wine and spirits as far as share. Nobody, at least in North America, nobody has done more to prevent, reduce both underage and drunk driving more than the beer industry has, with AB really an early adopter on that and spending an awful lot of money. I'm not saying we definitely haven't solved the problem, but the data speak for themselves. It's drunk driving and underage drinking have gone down. I think a peak probably in the late 80s. We don't see Spuds McKenzie and things like that on the media anymore. And, I think as an industry, it's gotten more, just more responsible. So everybody wants the same thing.
We have a lot to be proud of. And we are doing and have done a lot of things that can contribute to reducing some of the problems that we see associated with alcohol. And, we have to be clear-eyed that beer has alcohol in it and people can use it in harmful ways. But, we have this really unique opportunity to transform the occasion, and we have to bring consumers along with that. It has to be about choice. It has to be about opportunity. It has to be about distribution and communication. But we're a naturally low alcohol beverage. We're investing and innovating to create even lower or no alcohol versions of this. There are whole breweries that are popping up that are nothing but non-alcoholic beer that are getting traction and consumer buy-in. Like we can work collaboratively with our stakeholders to continue these trends, and brewers are leading across all of these dimensions. And we know that these things work because of common sense and because of the evidence that says shifting consumers to lower alcohol concentration beverages like beer can have positive impacts on the effectiveness of public health measures, on the growth and sustainability of economies, and making thriving communities that bring people together and encourage a great social occasion.
Justin, I don't know if y'all keep stats on this because it's US based that I'm asking, but would you say that 90%, at least 90% of the US beer industry volumes are in below 6% ABV, right? Easy, it's got to be, right? Because craft's only 12% of the market to begin with, and a lot of that is 6%.
So I don't have that data to hand, and it can be a little tricky to figure it out exactly. I would be shocked to find out that the aggregate ABV of the U.S. beer industry is more than, say, 4.6 or 4.7%.
Yeah,
I would think
even
that
lower.
we're probably below 5.
Yeah.
I think the growth is coming from well below 5 in many instances. And, the reference point for beer is 5%. I would be surprised to find out that we were 5, even that level as an aggregate industry. I think you see the trends that are having the beer that's going to be one of the biggest brands in America is a relatively low alcohol product, right? Mick Ultra, and those trends come from somewhere and are supported by consumers. And I think you have the right insight, Jeff.
Yeah. I think we should just rebrand it Fun Water. What do you think?
Well, Jen, I've been working on that theory that in the world of beverages, everything is beer. Now I'm just talking out of my ass real quick, but I know that Russia has, struggled with alcohol dependence because of the cultural reliance on vodka as their beverage of choice, straight vodka. I know the tax structure, changed to benefit beer, and it really did cut down on the problems they were having, but I think it might have gotten reversed or something. I can't remember. That was a great story, Harry. Thanks for adding value to the podcast.
It's amazing, Harry. I think you nailed the story there. So
okay.
Wherever you pick that up, there's actually a study or white paper. I don't know exactly how you'd couch it, but the WHO did a review of this, and they found that in Russia in like the early 2000s timeframe, they made these changes that made beer more affordable, more available, and just improve the commercial situation of beer. And what you saw is a reduction in mortality and morbidity and better public health outcomes. And that has since been reversed, and a lot of the policy has been reversed, and some of that policy gain has had backsliding. But it's certainly a reference point that we look at as an example of the power of the types of policy changes that we encourage, and the opportunities that you see from making these policy changes at scale. It doesn't impact any one individual, right? Because any product with alcohol can be abused by any person. But when you start to make those decisions at scale and you see the impact that these changes can have at a population level, you can make a real impact on the overall levels of harm that you see in a particular community or society. So you nailed it. And
good. Every now and then a blind pig could find a peanut.
It was perfect, man. Perfect.
Thank you. All right. Well, gosh, thank you for being on, Justin. It's a delight to meet you. You're doing the Lord's work, and I'm just glad that the idea came around and it came to fruition.
Well, I'm really grateful to be here. I'm a subscriber. I love the work that you guys do, and never miss a BBD newsletter to know what's going on. So thank you for all of that and the work that you guys do. I'll just leave you one more time with this thought that we really do have a unique opportunity here. And if everyone starts to be an ambassador for the category and recognize where the competition is coming from, and the opportunity that we have to create value today and in the future through the transformation and the way that we interact with our customers, there's a lot of good things in store for the future of beer. And I'm not a doomster. I'm not, I think that we have all of the tools necessary to capture growth again, and to grow the category, and to bring products that will delight consumers and create really excellent occasions for people that enable a more moderate lifestyle by doing the things that we're doing and leaning into it even more in the future. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk about this stuff.
Yeah, you bet. All right, guys. Well, listen, have the great rest of the day, and we'll check in with you, Justin, in another few months, and maybe I'll see you in Washington.
I'll look forward to both of those things. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.